budget related.
Okay.
One is Ellsbury Special Road District.
Okay.
You had asked me to come in and check on that because the way it appears that they've been doing budgeting and posting of revenue, and it looks like they always budgeted all of the funds for both General Road and Bridge and Ellsbury Road Special Road District. The way it appears to me, and just what I've looked at, it looks like they budget the total revenue to the General Road and Bridge funds.
Right.
And then they do a transfer out from general over into Ellsbury Special Road District. What it also looks like they've been doing is when they do that transfer and they transfer it into Ellsbury Special Road District, they're moving that money and hitting the revenue accounts for Ellsbury Special Road District, which makes it actually appear like we're posting the same revenue twice.
Right.
So, and I brought this question up to the person I was training with Tyler, who's a CPA, and he said, yeah, no, you definitely don't want to be hitting revenue twice with the same money. If they're doing a transfer, it should be a transfer out, transfer in.
Correct.
You wouldn't actually hit the revenue accounts when you transfer it in.
We have the transfer out part in
Right.
place, but the transfer into the Ellsbury Special shows as a big lump of revenue, correct?
Yeah.
This is what we talked about the other
Yeah,
day, correct?
yeah. I think and he suggested too that I bring that question up to our outside auditors who've done our audits in the past to see how they reconcile that issue, if they even
Right.
looked into it or what they have to say about it. So I can, I have it scheduled to try to make a phone call to them and see what specifically they have to say about that. I think personally, the way that it should be done, if Ellsbury Special Road District, if there is a special tax that comes in to support that special road district, I would think the collector has a way of knowing when those funds
Right.
come in and that those are separated out, I would think, in his accounting.
Sure.
So I think that we should be budgeting those two, the general and the Ellsbury, as separate budget lines on the revenue. And probably should also, when the money actually comes in, that revenue should be split out and posted specifically to Ellsbury Special Road and
I
not
agree.
done as a transfer.
I agree.
And then I'm not also, doesn't really look like there's been any special accounting on the expenses, whether
Right.
those are split out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the collector calculates the amount of taxes they collected, and it gets swept straight over to them, and they have their own board, their own budget, etc. So the way you just described it, separating the revenue, would be a cleaner way from a bookkeeping standpoint, because it really is passed through similar to the way ambulance tax and things like that. It should be able to be handled that same way. That way, the one spot in Tyler Technology where it looks like we've made more than what we actually have, because it's recognizing that income twice.
Right.
That would solve that little issue.
And I do still intend to talk to the auditors, the external auditors that did the last audit about that, what specifically they have to say about that.
Right.
And then my other one maybe is just kind of a minor miscellaneous thing, but I've just kind of noticed on funds such as just an example, the Sheriff's Civil Fees Fund, which is fund number 24. It looks like we basically, for expenses, just kind of budget everything miscellaneous.
Correct.
I personally would like to see that done differently. I know those are kind of discretionary funds and they spend as...
We're in agreement on that. However, I think the fact that and you can, with my blessing, investigate this, but it's my understanding they're discretionary funds, and they can essentially spend them however they wish, and the three of us have absolutely no control over those funds. But
I think it would help them, it beneficial to them to really track what they're spending their money on and,
Correct.
you know, because when the expenses come through, if we do want to split things up and post it, you know, training gets posted to a training, and there are expense accounts set up, it's just that all the money's budgeted to just miscellaneous.
It would behoove the individual office holder to give a little more detail,
Right.
because when you lump things in miscellaneous expense, just that title raises an eyebrow,
Right.
you know? Miscellaneous, what
So-
was it that it couldn't be categorized?
Yeah, that may be something that I'm gonna pursue and take up individually with the, you know, and that goes across the board for all the
Right,
different funds and the courts, all the different courts funds and,
right, and, you know, you undertake that, and with the understanding that at some point, the office holder is probably well within their bounds to tell you it's none of your business, but at least you put forth the effort.
that's, you know, I just like to see things done accounting-wise, the way
Right.
they should be properly.
Right.
You know, the accounts are set up, it's really, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it would help them, I
It's
think.
good accountability. Anytime you use the term miscellaneous, other, and things like that, that implies that it is something that is out of the ordinary and doesn't have a category.
Right.
Which, if we're doing things by the book, everything should have a place. We should be able to
And
account
just
for
like,
everything.
you know, this bill that came through Christie's office this morning when I looked at it, you know, most of it really was training. And then, you know, there was miscellaneous charges of about maybe $18 that really belongs in miscellaneous. But 1,036 of it really belongs to training.
Correct.
But the way they've been doing it, they would just post it all as miscellaneous. So I really think that that's something that should be addressed.
And I'm in full agreement with you. Every bill that comes in here needs to be scrutinized and take the extra effort, you know, to say, hey, this really belongs here, this really belongs here, this really belongs here, so that at the end of the year, we can say, we really spent this, you know, for budgets,
Yeah.
for budget purposes, at the end of this year, when we start next year's budget, it will be nice to know, hey, our actual number for training actually represents training expenses. Because, you know, if our first sales tax report of the year is any indication, next year's budget proceeding is not going to be any less tenuous than what this year's is. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Just wanted to make sure you know about that. Thank you.
Okay. Margie Harrell, 911 Director, welcome.